6. Sexuality. In its feverish search, this modern, unconscious, cybernetic civilization, after reaching hasty solutions, finds itself throwing the problems into the future. Meanwhile, the maddening anxiety to live only for the fleeting present goes on unabated. Such a situation has torn down old ethics to adopt a new morality, which has been changing with each new assault, thus advancing it towards the facts of amorality. Finally, the downward fall continues to sink deeper until it reaches the abysses of plain immorality. In his uneasy struggle to attain happiness, the man of technology turned to pleasure. However, increasingly desperate and disturbed by a life of multiple and unbridled sensations, he steers his mind to the study of the stars, and his feelings towards his precarious instincts. There is a marked difference between happiness and pleasure, between physical sensations and authentic emotions. In his passionate attacks against old hypocrisy, man has overlooked the need for moderation. He assailed taboos and prejudices, but lacked the discernment to find a substitute which would serve as a foundation for the conquests that would raise him to true happiness. He has been destroying only for the sake of destruction. Among these frantic attacks, sex was the element which suffered most from the impact of negative forces. After the past misunderstanding to which sex was subjected, due to ignorance of its noble functions and purposes, it emerged to become an object of abuse, decadence, and repulsion, whereby people seek expressions of pleasure that abase, distort, and disorganize it. Formerly looked upon as impure, it is now regarded as a pleasure machine, and man's only purpose in life is to enjoy it rather than regard it as a means to perpetuate the species. Starting from Freud, who liberated it, to Marcuse, who abusively sanctioned it, one is bound to perceive a vast technical culture of moral chaos. At first its natural functions were attacked. Today it is proclaimed as the source of life. Yet, untold suffering has resulted from debaucheries that threaten the ethical culture of mankind. It has assailed the youth, placing them in a state of despair, if not irreversible madness. Undoubtedly, sex has profound effects on the physical, emotional, and spiritual lives of people. It is the sanctuary of procreation, the source of noble emulations, and an instrument of renewal through exchange of hormonal stimuli. Nevertheless, sexuality has endured the apocalyptic aggression in this period of spiritual regeneration of our planet. Abnormalities and profanity, violence and lasciviousness go hand in hand with disorder. They engender trouble and violence, leaving behind them all sorts of suffering, frustrations, and tears. The reason is that sex, if devoid of the dignity of love, becomes pointless and brutalized. It develops appetites that cannot be satisfied, always reappearing more violent and compulsive. From the unjust condemnation and persecution, sex came out to the public square of disrespect. It wanted to avenge the suffering it had endured, presuming that its abuse would correct the errors of old repression. Such a disorder has reached extreme chaos, and debauchery has corroded the felling that dignify life. It has allowed that scenes of mental, emotional, and physical disturbances become socially accepted in their scenario of pain and impropriety. As a consequence, extortions, persecutions, foolishness, crimes, obsessions keep proliferating. Transsexuality, homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, and asexuality, expressed physically or in the delicate tissues of the psyche, all proceed from the spirit. The manifold ways sex is expressed today are ridiculed and mocked by our society. However, in the future, when examined through its spiritual aspect, they will receive serious consideration and treatment by legislators and psychologists, physicians and psychiatrists, educators and sociologists. They will correct the intricacies of such serious problems, favoring a better understanding of all the noble manifestations and purpose of this life. Sexual problems are peculiarly connected to the spirit's pre-existence. They must be handled with kindness, understanding, respect, and a dignified attitude. Originally created by divine providence for sublime ends, sex cannot be irreverently used. Every type of abuse will result in serious consequences. Its disrespect will bring disorder and pain. Should you find yourself in a state of sexual misconduct against the sanctifying purposes ascribed by our Creator, do not degrade yourself, even if modern times favor or applaud you. Preserve your moral energy and keep your balance. Whenever your burning desires flare up, resort to the soothing and tasting comfort of prayer. Do not yield to delusions nor drink the inviting nectar, poisoned with repulsive satisfaction. Do not become an accomplice of sexual emotions, harboring thoughts that stir up passions. They result in anguish and imbalance. Do not become an agent of unhappiness to anyone. If you are in a healthy state emotionally, consider those in extreme agony who suffer from frigidity or exasperation, those who carry abnormalities, and those who are disturbed and persecuted within themselves. If you are now in a state of trials, experiencing some psychic or physical condition, look towards the days ahead. Do not be in a hurry. The problem cannot be solved suddenly. Yet, if not properly cared for, it will get worse. Life does not end in the grave, nor is it limited to the physical vehicle. Turn your limitations into strength and love those ideals that ennoble humanity. They will bring you the freedom of understanding, and you will find the happiness you are looking for. Always love, no matter in what state you are. Spread your love wherever you go and scatter around you stars of hope. Tomorrow, they will be shining for you. The problem of sex is a problem of the spirit, and in the spirit alone is the solution. Therefore, take care of your home and family, becoming a co-creator in the work of our Father. Lend a hand to those who walk in pain, and uplift their minds by spreading the concept that sex was made for life and not life for sex. On Sunday's new chapter of the Word, contribute by making donations with the publishing of works in the English language. Subscribe to our networks at Casa de Reading KO YouTube and Facebook.